cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today, as I'm recording this video, it's Friday. Gunner and I are going to be going live tonight, and so, I think we're going to be having a few drinks, and it reminded me of something from the California Youth Authority that, as far as I'm aware of, only happened in one place. And that was in YTS. Anybody that's been through YA, had a family member that was in YA, everybody knows. YTS was pretty much considered like the big leagues as far as YA. The games that were played over there were more like they were preparing you for prison. There were a lot of guys that were in the California Youth Authority that caught cases and got sent to prison. And if they still had YA time to finish, they came back to YA, they went to YTS. So it was more, they would tell you all that fist fighting and battery packing people. Fuck all that, homes. Whack them. We whack people here. That's it. We're not trying to, do all that. And so the mentality was different. The cells were different. Very small cells. There was no dorms. But they had something that no other YA had. And when I experienced it, it was a trip. And it was the dances. Anybody that was in YA and YTS, you remember the dances. Everybody remembered the dances. I can't remember if it was like every 45 days. I think they had the dances, maybe every 90 days, something like that. I can't remember the exact number. But it was this. Every unit had their own time when they would get the dances, right? And you had to have somebody on your visiting card, like me personally. I could have whoever my lady was at the time pull me out. They come to the visiting room at night, to the visiting room in YTS at night. And I could have my lady, whoever it was, bring 5 of her friends. And before she gets there over the phone, I'm going to give her 5 names and YA numbers of other homies that don't have visitors or whatever. And my lady and her 5 friends are going to pull me out and 5 homies. And we're all going to go to visiting. Okay? In the days leading up to the visiting, in the days leading up to the dances, dudes would get wine and have it stashed in visiting. And of the night of the dance, like I said, they'll pull me out and whoever I had pulled out, boom, and we all go. They take us in the little van, bam, drive us over there. We get out, we go into visiting. You walk into visiting, the outside is closed. Like where they had the little, YTS had like a little park, a grassy area with like a park, right? And you can sit out there with your visitors and shit. Well, that's closed, but all the inside part of visiting is there. It's lit up. Half of it, though, was dark. You would walk in, and you could wear personal clothes. So dudes were G'd up in your Ben Davis, Charlie Brown's, Pendleton, whatever you had. Going to visiting all dressed up. There's the ladies right there, all dressed up. You walk in and there was a table. And it would be full of food. Pizzas, Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever it was. You go over there, make a plate if that's what you want to do. But the other half of the visiting room was dark. There were no lights. Except the strobe lights from the DJ that was brought in, paid for and brought in from the streets. When I tell you guys this was like a party in the neighborhood, it was like having a party in the neighborhood. But inside of a California Youth Authority facility. One of the most dangerous facilities. And you'd go in there and, you know, you want to make sure, you know, whatever ladies you got with you, hey, you guys hungry? You guys want to eat? All we want to do is head over to the dark side. You know, so we, you know, eat whatever real quick. And then bam, let's go over there. You go into the dark side, the dark half of the visiting room. Like I said, there's a DJ right there. You could ask him, hey, homie, can you play this song, this and this? I'd be like, I got you. Boom. And he's, you know, he's DJing. And you'll see dudes, they're dancing. Bam, they got a tumbler in their hand. There's wine in that tumbler. You see a dude, he's got a joint in one hand and his wine in the other hand. He's take a drink, take a hit, pass it on. You see a few dudes smoking weed. Cops weren't even going into the dark side. Maybe now and then you'd see them coming and be like, hey, Holmes, they're walking. They'd walk through just to say they did their rounds and walk right back to the side that's all lit up and all the food and all the cops are hanging out over there. And, you know, we had these chairs in YA called softbacks. It's just the name of the type of chairs they had. And next thing you know, you'd see people get the softbacks and spin some of them in the corner. Guess what's happening over there? It was a trip, man. Dudes would be in there and they'd be getting it with their old lady. And when they're done, they step out and somebody else gets in. Boom, they get it with their old lady. And then you see in another part, they're setting up their little softbacks, spin them, bam. And you had different areas where, you know, you're dancing with your lady, this and this and that. And if she's down, be like, come on, let's go. Bam. And you know, get yours. Imagine that. YTS, why it was so crazy, man. The things that could go on there. But I could tell you that the dances were the happiest you would ever see anybody in the California Youth Authority. If you made it to YTS and you got to a dance and you got there and you got your old lady there, or if whoever the homie hooked you up with, she was down and you were getting your super freak on, that's a memory you'll never forget. And this is a true story. There's going to be dudes that are in the comment section. They're going to be like, I was there, Holmes. I remember that shit. That is one of the most off the hook things I've ever seen. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen in the CDC, people would make a wall in a certain area of visiting. And, you know, if their old lady was down, they would get their money. But it was nothing like a dance in YTS where you literally had a DJ from the streets spinning music, spinning records, the jams. You were dressed up, like G'd up. The girls were looking fine as hell. And you're literally having sex in the visiting room, smoking weed, drinking alcohol. And for that couple hours, you weren't even in jail. I think I may have told this story before. I don't remember, but you know, I was talking to someone today and I was telling them, because we were talking about YA. And I told them, hey, trip out on this. And they were like, what the are you serious? And they were like, you got to tell that story. Like, I don't know if anybody knows about that. And even dudes that were in YA, if you weren't in YT, hey, when I was in Paso, never heard of the dances. Why would I? Dudes don't go from YTS to Paso. You're an adult. When you go to YTS, you're 18 or over. You're 18 to 24. That's the age range. Paso was, you know, you could be 16 to 24. But once you got kicked out of Paso to TS, you couldn't go back. You know, your next step is you were going to the joint. Or once Chad opened, you could bounce to Chad. Anyways, like I said, it's Friday night. Figured I'd share a wild YA story. I haven't told a wild YA story in a while. But I figured I'd let you guys know there was a place. And it happened. I can't remember how often it was, man. But We were out there getting it, man. California Youth Authority. Very, very different place. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys liked it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.